Excellent, excellent. So 1 out of how many? Yeah, it's not a very popular discipline, but I think it's becoming more popular and more necessary given the pace and the speed of change. So let me ask you, did you find any collisions? Did you find any ahas? You were like, I guess intuitively I realized these things were happening at the same time, but now that I put it down on paper, I was like, oh, goodness gracious, this could be bigger than I thought. Anybody have that? Right, this isn't hard, right? I did this with a group of project managers, and literally somebody raised their hand and they're like, well, this doesn't actually happen in organizations, right? Like somebody manages all this stuff. And I'm like, are you kidding? This happens 90% of the time, right? Nobody's putting the big puzzle together, and things literally just get rolled out, and the left hand isn't talking to the right hand. Even within the same groups, I see things getting rolled out, and they're not talking within their same groups, right? So what kind of collisions did you guys come up with? I think I saw a few folks go, yeah, I came up with a few. Intuitively, I knew, but when I wrote it down, I went, oh boy. Anybody? And are they working together now? Are those two project teams working in concert? Yeah. But it's right, it's those kind of like intuitive questions. Yeah, and that's why we like to talk about impact, right? Because so many times, right, I don't know how many times I've heard this, like, oh, that's not a big change. That's not a big deal, right? And then you start right, peeling the onion. Well, tell me a little bit more. Is it going to do this? Is that? Yeah, yeah. And then they're like, oh, okay. So maybe that's more medium. Maybe it's not high, but oh, it's at least medium. So that's why we like to incorporate that conversation around what is the impact to that group of employees that is looking to change. Okay, how about this? Did you feel that this was easy? Like, do you know what's going on in your organization? Did you have the visibility? Or was it kind of tough to tease out? You're not sure. It's a complete list. Not sure? You kind of know what you know? Might be other stuff going on? You have a good list, though. You've got a lot going on. And you guys are in the same company, right? Yeah, okay. Any collisions? Yeah, okay. The tough thing here is, so what? When you think about the governance, right? So who do you bring this information to, right? Who can make changes to this? Who is that person, or is there a group of people that can influence kind of that future, right? Does it have to be that impactful? Are there ways to pave the way for your employees to make them more successful, to, right, make sure that dip isn't as deep, nor does it take as long? Because imagine now you've got multiple change curves going on at the same time. Yeah, and there's risk. So you're adding risk to your portfolio of change, right? And the likelihood that one, if not more, of those projects will have a deeper impact because you're probably not managing it as closely as you need to is high, right? And the risk of that one, if not more, of those projects taking longer is high, right? So I always like to take this back to risk, right? Because that's why we're looking to manage these changes and make it a bit easier for employees to adapt. Okay? What questions did this bring about for you guys as you went through the exercise? Any ahas? Is this something you're going to take back and use? Take to some of your leaders, say, hey, what's going on? Can we be proactive about managing our change? Portfolio is kind of the new term. Okay? Sure, yeah. And so that in of itself is a change, right? That's that high emotional toll type changes. And typically when new leaders come in, right, they change stuff up, right? They want it kind of done their way. We all inherently know that. So I think in two ways. One, you've got to really leverage that managerial team, right? Because they're going to have to be that pillar of strength for the employees, right? And that's why the managers, you're just in a tough spot, right? But that's really where you're going to get that pillar of strength. And then the new folks coming in, right? I think it's having candid conversations around where is this group today, right? And maybe what will be some of your challenges and coming in depending on what changes they want.